Here we are.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode where we explore the butterfly effect, setting up transformations for success. And today I have Jan Bann with me. For those who know Jan, he is the father of the modern ERP, and we are going to hear from Jan his life story and also the power of the conscious pause and the effect that he has created in the ERP world. This series will be in 3 episodes. And the first episode is what you will hear now, and follow on, you will hear more episodes. All right. So, welcome, Jan Ban, to this program. And it is a wonderful opportunity to meet you in person. And you have been my hero all my life. And
Thanks
thank
for
you for
inviting
doing
me to this.
this.
And I follow all your nice explanations, what you do on LinkedIn, and it's good to be united here.
Absolutely, and thank you. And with this one, what fascinated me all the time with your book and everything else, is at one stage you decided to start this beautiful ERP journey. And what led you to that? And is it and something beyond that is beyond all of us that we all believe helps us in this journey. So in your case, what was it, and how did you feel it, and how did you start the journey?
Hindsight, it started by accident. No, and I do not believe in accident. I believe always in God's providence that things happens. But I was young, a dropout on school. I became still had a little discipline. Started very young when I was 15 years old, and focusing a little on some simple financial elements, and became a financial controller. And then I was 32, a little under SC, and I was thinking, I built some financial models, and I decided to, why should I be employed, and why not start my own consulting firm? And that was more what was say by anywhere an initiative. Let's start as a consultant, and by accident I came then also involved with high tech technology, those with microcomputers in Silicon Valley in end of the 90s, beginning of the 80s. And then I saw an opportunity to become a small dealer from a American Silicon Valley based microcomputer technology company. They had interesting stuff in real Intel 8-bit 64K, and we built first a financial system, and then quite quick already some manufacturing stuff. But therefore, it became from totally from nothing. And then we started small, but then step by step we developed real interesting stuff. And you can see it in the beginning of my autobiography. And then I built already real product-driven software instead of services for individuals. It was quite rare already in early 80s. And we were focusing on Unix. And Unix helped us also to be very professional.
And yeah, and one thing that fascinated me was you were much ahead of your time. Like when the whole world was chasing
Yeah.
screens and better this and better that, you literally were ahead of your time and thinking in a real transformative way, which united thought leaders and created this beautiful thing. So exploring that further, so what was the draw card to this, and what were the challenges that you had? Because staying ahead of time and being in the transformative world is not easy, and this is something very personal that you have achieved.
Yeah, I should say, Judith, it was maybe a little the simplicity of my start, and always I am involved. I was involved to run on paths where no one was before me, and it means I was always involved in the unknown future and had a little the guts. Although I did not understand everything, just start, and then the perseverance to bring some things, and therefore always was involved with new things. Now, and that have given me then a good starting point already in the beginning, where only we had mini computers, and I could start with microcomputers, 10% of the price, and real new stuff. You can call it little the Conway law, and the Conway law means that is the biggest problem in what we see in IT, that people are continuing where they came from. And I burned my ships behind me many times. And I had the guts a little, maybe already a little unrest, to always to build something new.
And
Means also that for me as an entrepreneur, I was real from day one able to delegate because I had not so much expectation of myself. And I saw smart people around me and say, okay, let's use them. They are at least twice better than what I can do and half of the price, and it's 4 times more effective. Use people around you. And I was more kind of the bill of material between all those people. And then a real element I did, I had an early birth in starting also my business in India. It was already now 35 years ago, where no one was there. And first I started in Bombay, in Seeps. And I moved quite early into Hyderabad, where it was only rocky, nothing was there. And that was also, that means always have time. Being earlier means you've always time to do something.
and this is beautiful, right? So, as I am drawn to this butterfly effect, where a conscious or an unconscious change causes a lot of ripple effects. In your case, with the invention of the ERP, you've caused a lot of beautiful things to happen, either in the technology world or in the social world. As you say, in India, where I'm from, we know the impact that you have made, and also the social stuff that you have done. For example, schools and other things. So, as you were going through the journey, and some of them may have been planned, and as you look back, what is the most important thing that you appreciate of? So many people appreciate many different things, and you as a leader, you'll have something very close to your heart that you would appreciate.
First, I learned to be a leader, you should be a steward leader. And that means in leadership is always gives you more responsibility. You have also you have more impact if you do it well, but that means you have to serve instead that even that people even work for you. You have to serve other ones, and also it was a continuous process because I started very simple and then increased more. We have time enough. In the beginning, I had microcomputers and no one, there was only PCs. I was maybe one of the first ones who built multitasking, multi-user solutions, very simple. Therefore, my first customer was small customers, a small manufacturing company. Then we were able to rebuild every time our software. Whereas most people in software, you start some things and you can never, and you can never stop. We built kind of an evergreen concept. Throw it away, because in the beginning was simple microcomputers. Then we moved to Unix. Then you have more technology. We use modern databases, and we rebuilt it many times. And then means on. Let me say another one. I was lucky. I made my career very simple, very young. And when my salary increased, then also I could borrow a little more money to buy another house. And that means we moved a few times to a bigger house. And it was always a good investment to do this one. Now, when I started my own company, I moved from in the Netherlands from the west to the center. And then to a certain point, I sold all my assets, and I came to a conclusion, hey, I have a little money. And it allows me to start my own company. And I could start my own company without loans, without borrowing something from others. That means I had freedom to do this one. I could use the benefit of my assets. A risky element is building my own company. And that's an entrepreneur. It's there everything to it. I should say only your own family, but for the rest, you believe everything in it and you bring everything to this. Now, and
And
that
that's beautiful, and that's something beautiful, isn't it? So you're given the drive, you're given the resources, and with that, look at the change that you've created and the leadership that you've created. So as we look back and go, and it's those small moments of conscious or unconscious decisions that has led us to all these beautiful things in the world. And this for me is beautiful. And as we talk about the butterfly effect and the conscious change that we can make, I believe all of us have that opportunity. And Jan, thank you for leading the way. So this is very, very powerful. And
Another important element was when it was I was already 50 years in business on my own. I did it later on with my brother together, but it means totally independent. Also, due to my own personal investment, I was not dependent from angels or from even from a bank. But then to a certain point, I could finance. That was maybe also a rare element. I could finance my new investment by selling always my intellectual property to my competitors. And it was maybe a little rare. What I did is was dealing with OEM deals. And in the beginning, I was a distributor of Olivetti, later on from Bull, later on from IBM, and they were quite interested in my products. They say, okay, can we not buy your products? I say, of course. And then I sold my products, everything of my company as an OEM deal. And then my people were a little afraid, say, oh, now these big companies have even our intellectual property and they can destroy us. I say, no, the market is so big, let's share it. No. And that means I sold then everything I had to my competitors for maybe a very simple amount of money, but I use this amount to invest it again in R&D. And it means that all the time, a year later, I increase more and they evangelize my technology. No.
so they're indirectly helping you in a different way. They are becoming evangelists for you.
Now, and that was
Yeah.
and then on the latest moment. It was later on. It was one of my biggest
Yeah.
competitors. It was in the early. It was in the what was it? Beginning of the 90s. It was ASK. ASK was those days on mini computers on deck, and HP the number one ERP company. SAP was more bigger on other elements, but they had a problem. They were not on open systems like Unix. They were on proprietary systems and they felt they lost the market. And they came to me and we did a deal. And it was amazing for the analysts, for the gardeners, etc. Hey, what's going on? These guys in Silicon Valley, ASK, are acquiring the intellectual property from a small company, Bann, in the Netherlands. Now, and that was also a kind of an element, a butterfly element, that makes a lot of rumor. And from that moment, everyone was interested. Gartner came to me, and then a venture capital, Jan Atlantic Partners, came to me in 1993 and said, hey, we are quite interested. Can we invest in your company? Now, normally it's the opposite way. Normally they have 1,000 inquiries and they accepted 5 months. No, they came to me and said, can we invest in your company? And I was a little eager, a little learning to see what they're bringing. But I came to the conclusion and I mentioned, say, no, you can do or not do it because then I'm losing everything. But okay, and it was rare for them because why not investing it? Let's say no, I'm not interested. But then I was thinking a little, and a couple of months later came back, and I was thinking a little, and I have to do things with also with stewardship. And I was thinking that means we say a little in a rare word, we say vision in Dutch is bullshit. You have to learn from your lessons. You're not learning from a vision, etc. You learn from your lessons learned. No. And what was for me one of the big lessons learned, I was realizing, listen, it seems that I have a product who could be a leading product in the world, but I'm too small. I'm now only a tier one. I am only able to sell my intellectual property to big ones, to OEMs. But it means I can become an OEM. I'm not a car maker. I may be Bosch or Vallejo. I'm not. I'm not Mercedes. But I'm still under the hood. I'm crucial. I'm building some things. Now, and then they came back to me, and I was thinking a little in the way of stewardship. Listen, if I give up my freedom, it has also to do a little with my ego. Why was I not so much interested? First of all, no, I have a big family, but I felt that even my company was one of my kids, and
Yeah.
and I feel I in my company that I was it has even a little my ego, my company, and then I came to the conclusion. Listen, if I give up my ego, my ownership of my company, then I can do a lot more. And suppose that I am accepting this venture capital list, this venture capital. That means they talk already from IPO. I never heard the word IPO. Then we can do IPO, we can do something, then we can create wealth. Okay, but then I should not use the wealth to myself. And I came to the conclusion, okay, let me accept this one and bring then the benefit in a foundation. Now, and then we start also what we call the Economist Foundation. And that was the reason that I could do in India also a lot of other projects, because on the highest point on Wall Street, on Nasdaq, I was not the owner, the foundation was the owner. Now they give you the credit, but I was a little afraid to take everything to myself, because making money is a pleasure, having money can be a threat. And I'm still happy. I'm still, after so many years, 55 years, I have my same darling, my same wife, and all the stuff, the stability in the company. I believe that the Lord protected me in this way to deal with wealth.
And absolutely right. So I believe in this. It is God who gives us the ability to build wealth and the pleasure to enjoy it, and also the grace to share it with others. And in your case, it has been, that thing come to life. So for those who are listening, Jan Bann's story is fantastic, and it's Profit by Loss. The book is available on Amazon, and you can purchase it at your convenience. So what would be fascinating is the
Correct. It's not available on Amazon, but they can have a free download. It's free. They can have a link, and even on my webpage, they can from Varenburg they can download it. But we also later on we can give a link to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll add the links to the links are attached in the episode, so please have a look. And one thing that'll be fascinating is the amount of charity and the social change that all this beautiful work is able to initiate. So the number of schools and the number of people inspired by this, it is amazing. So something really small can have a major impact in our world, and that's what Jan's life has proven. And for me and many followers of Jan, this is the treasure that we want to live. We want to leave rest of the world with. And we'll see you in the new episode.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. So, all right. So as we move on, Jan, thank you again for your time as we talk about embracing true disruption. So we heard about your life in the previous one, and in this one, we want to hear about your your grace to embrace the true disruptions. And like me, you're a fan of Christian Claytonson, and we all believe in disruptive theories. And I've seen no one practicing disruptive theory more than you. And again, for me, it's a part of the butterfly effect, informed decisions creating a better world. So over to you.
Now, it came was on end of the 90s. After 20 years in Bann, I started on my own. On that moment, we had 5,000 employees, but not only 5,000 employees, 25,000 people working for partners. That means 30,000 people were day and night dependent on my product. And we were with SAP number 2 in the world of ERP. Gartner mentioned in 1998 that SAP was maybe the biggest, we were the most innovative company, leading. I was able to win the Boeing deal in 1995, 1994. It was a deal that propelled us tremendous, 40,000 users, and we are able to win this deal from SAP and from Oracle. And that was after being public in 93, the Boeing deal that propelled us tremendous. And then we moved from $60 million revenue in a few years to $680 million revenue. Now, all the people came to us, and it is a dangerous element on one hand. And we were leading, but I came to the conclusion in 1998, listen, I'm leading, but what we are doing is I'm not using the internet because it is not built on a browser. And I became more and more aware of the internet, and I said, okay, we are obsolete. Maybe a little naive, thinking that ERP is becoming maybe the end of ERP, because ERP should be a product on the internet. There's nothing on the internet. Now, and then I invested in 2 interesting companies because I used part of my shares investing in the slipstream of Bann company. And I had 2 interesting companies. I had my CTO those days was in Silicon Valley, John Jendricks, and he came to me and said, Jan, investing a lot of money in other companies, but I have two very interesting companies for you. One company is called WebEx. It's a very small company in Silicon Valley, and the other company is Top Tier. And Top Tier is the first portal company. Now, and if I was you, I should invest in this company. Now, I invested for these small companies $100 million in both of these two companies because I believed in them. They was the first internet companies. WebEx was maybe one of the first SaaS companies in software as a service, and Top Tier the first portal. Now, and I did it in the way of use that to take Bann in the slipstream of Bann, bring some internet technology in it. Okay, but then I succeeded not in my way of thinking because my board was not interested in this one. Because the board shareholders are only invested in vested shares. They call themselves shareholders. I came to the conclusion the name is wrong. You should call them share movers. Because I was naive. I was thinking they are friends of me and they're holding. No, they're gambling with me. They're moving, holding. No. And also they're looking for the short term. And I came to the conclusion that will not work. And therefore, I stopped as an entrepreneur in Baan company. I came to the conclusion, even you underestimate yourself, maybe 5,000 people. I started on my own. Can I continue do this one? It's all technology. Why should I not start again from scratch? Then means I burned myself because I was not able to do it in a combination with new technology because it's not accepted by the traditional shareholders. And on that moment, I had only 30% of the shares. When we went to Nasdaq, I had a majority, but then we did a secondary, and you put more money in, and I was still the biggest shareholder, but only a third of the shares. And my board had not the same vision. They say, no, we like to, we say at your service, but how can we milk you? It's more, say, taking care. This one. No. Then I concluded, say, okay, let's sell my shares and start again. And I started again with these two companies, WebEx and Top Tier, as an investor with a new company called Cordis. And my dream with Cordis was in Baan, we were masters in silos. But we are building everything in one database. Even SAP, even today, you see the core of SAP is one database with 100,000 database tables. It's becoming crazy of crazy. It means everything is limited to one silo. You have a relational database, and it fits not in the world of internet, where you are thinking in many. And I came to the conclusion, the maximum of business is now a silo. And ERP is maybe the most complicated one. But it's not the end-to-end businesses. Why should I not build something what we call BPM, business process management, and linking all those silos together to end-to-end processes? Then we take an ERP silo, but also we take a product lifecycle management with CAD/CAM and all the elements. We take CRM, we take warehouse management, we take financials, and we are respecting all those transactional driven systems. They're transactional driven. They are obsolete, but good enough maybe. We bring them in the internet with service-oriented architecture, BPM, and then we build it to end-to-end processes, and then we optimize. We call it already composing. That was what I called composing, but not composing ERP. The silo could not be composed. It's composing on the internet. Now, and I spent there also another 15 years. It was interesting. I had money enough. I invested a lot of money, but it was still too early.
This is interesting, right? So this type of disruption, though it is a conscious change, also brings in a lot of other challenges like personal readiness, family readiness, and also, as you said, people who are close to you, your team readiness, stakeholder readiness, and all that stuff. So how did you navigate that as a person and also as an organization? Because staying ahead of the time and working with this changing world is not easy.
That's true, but navigation was easy because you start again small. I started small, and in Bann, I traveled everywhere around the world. For a while, I had my private plane because I traveled 600 hours in a year, and I was every week in boardrooms, and then in Komatsu, in Japan, and in Boeing, etc. That was an element of continuous learning. It's education permanence, because my role as an entrepreneur was more as a kind of chief innovative officer, giving trust for these big companies, and you have an institute around you. It means it's no longer that you are, and even I came to the conclusion the name CEO is not longer, should not be longer to me, because you have too much an institute. I delegate this name as CEO to a top McKinsey guy, and I took more the role of maybe a chairman's role, and guiding a little the company. But I saw that my interest and my influence is becoming less and less and less. Now, then I started again from scratch. In the meantime, the company was acquired. It was in 1999. The company was acquired by Invensys, did not so good that even we moved down. That was already when I was already left the company. But okay, and then when the company was also, Invensys took it over, I had no longer anywhere, and I was no longer related to it. I started again, and many people ask, Jan, can I work for you, especially in India? And then on day one, when I started, I had only one employee myself. And day two, I had already 200 employees. And I took 200 of my core people in Hyderabad and say, okay, you can come with me, only a small part of it. I give you the same salary you had before, but I give you all the elements. That was an enormous power. The first year, we had no revenue, and we had $60 million negative EBITDA, but it was fun. We had money enough. I mean, it was disruptive. I put a lot of money in it, believe in it, no constraint, and I built everything from scratch in this SOA world, service-oriented architecture world. We built the SOA APIs, we built this BPM stuff. We invested a lot of money again in internet-driven stuff, and I learned a lot from WebEx and Top Tier those days. Now, but then to a certain point, I had my dream to use the top tier technology in around Bann company. Did not work out. Now, and then later on, we sold top tier. I was on that for a while. I was a majority player in top tier. Shai Agassi was the founder. But then some venture capitals were also in. But we decided, let's sell top tier. We sold it to S&P. Was still amazing. Top tier those days was a company with only $10 million revenue, 10 million losses, but we sold to S&P for $400 million because as a replacement for NetWeaver. And Hasso Plattner took it over. He was not willing to deal with me. He was a little afraid, but he took over. Even Shai Agassi and Top Tier became an important part, even for S&P. Now, we even had some money from this one, and we could continue with our core stuff.
Okay. I lost the audio for a minute, Jan, so I'll have to dial in back. Yeah. Sorry.
I call you later. I'm in a meeting. We are back. We lost it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me now?
Okay. So it's just my hearing. So
I hear you.
let me do this.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. You cannot hear me? Maybe are you mute?
I'll dial back. Is this better now?
I hear you good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, we can continue now.
Perfect.
Cool. And this is beautiful. So what we will do is, if you're okay, I'll conclude this disruption thing and then we move on to the next. So
Yeah.
disruption provides a beautiful opportunity, as Jan explained. It is the one of the core reasons for transformation.
it also gives us an opportunity for new thinking. And we have the opportunity, or we have the blessing to use the butterfly effect, to use any disruption to create the world that we need to. So making a conscious change matters, and what we do matters. So if you're an organization embracing disruption, go for it. And that is what makes you you. You will be doing something else, but that is you. You'll discover the true self. With
And
that,
but you need for disruption maybe one element. For disruption, you need pain. If everything is going good, you enjoy too much and you continue. And that's the Conway law. Look, even today to ERP, to SAP, to Oracle, etc. It's, in my opinion, becoming a dangerous element. But okay, after us, the flood, no one is giving up. It's like a pyramid fund. But you need pain for disruption. And that because it's not easy. You give up a lot of stuff. You give up the wealth of that moment, and also the benefit, but you need a drive, and frustration or pain could be a very good element to do some disruptive elements. That means, and also that means your desire is much more than where you are, and you go down and bring something new.
and this is beautiful again, right? So pain is the one that teaches us endurance. Pain is the one that keeps us moving on. And it is something that sometimes we do not sit often, as you say, in the spirit of the unknown and embrace what that actually brings to us. So this is an opportunity.
And pain is hard, and I had also a lot of pain in business, also personal. I lost my son. One of my sons was murdered as an evangelist in Nigeria. It was hard for us as a family, but God took him home. And then in all the deepest pain, and even in the Bible, Hebrew 12, you can read it, when pain is coming, it's not attractive, but after hindsight, if you look in hindsight, afterwards you can see the lessons learned. And let me say it this way, what is pain? The problem is most people cannot deal with pain because the pain from yesterday is not pain today. But for most people, it's the pain from yesterday, it's the frustration of today. But if you look to the pain of yesterday and you are today free of pain, should be the joy of today. The pain of yesterday can be the wisdom of today. And that's the difference. And it's always the core element in life. Learning and wisdom is always combined with pain. And I believe that also that the Lord is protecting us, growing us, and making us better. And pain is also a good opposite your ego. Because as an entrepreneur, Collins, one of the my lectures admire a lot, is saying, listen, if you have no ego, you cannot be an entrepreneur. But the problem is, if the ego belongs to you, you are maybe the most miserable person in the world. The ego should belong to the institute. Now, and that is an important element if you can accept that. And even if you are an entrepreneur, you have some components of to be a narcissist. Otherwise, you cannot be it. And you're focusing. Now, and it's extremely dangerous. You deal with dangerous elements. You're different than other people, and who can bring you in a tremendous, terrible element. Look, many people they like the big ones, but they do not respect the big ones. They say, "I'm happy that it's not my father or my mother, but even I look back to all these billionaires. Now, there is not so much respect, but we obey them. Now, that keeps you humble. As being as have the components of ego, have maybe the components of a little narcissist. The Lord can make you more humble to surround you sometimes with pain with other elements. And even that could be a good element for disruptive new things, because then if you have no pain, you're open for new ways.
And this is again words of wisdom, right? So it's embracing the pain, embracing the disruption, and trusting the one above to be able to navigate whatever comes across. And as we look back at your life, the conscious changes and the effect of those changes, that has made you who you are. And this is like fantastic. And all the companies, that is the legacy of all those companies and the people who work in the companies and the clients who you have serviced, they carry.
I see it as God's blessing, as a protection. Like if you look in the Bible in Job, Job was protected, and later on the Lord gave him even more. Now, but even what is the most important thing, what you're doing in business is you have to serve first, is customer intimacy. Take care that you have a benefit for your customer. Although for me the most important element is still not my customer, it's my employees. This is the family, but we have to serve first the customer. And even with marketing, it's dangerous to take the skills of marketing because you lie the most in marketing. Still, you should believe what you're doing and take always care that what you do should be beneficial for the customer. Then it can be beneficial for us, all of us, the stakeholders, and it's everyone therein.
And that is great. And that brings us to the closure of this episode on embracing disruption and what disruption can offer. So disruption is an opportunity for change. It is for transformation. And overall, it is an opportunity to make our part, to make our world better, embrace those we serve better, and get to know each other in a connected world. So
Nice
with
comment.
that,
Yeah, great.
and with that, we'll start the other episode, which is the ERP of the future.
Yeah.
So you've seen the ERP of the past, you've seen the ERP of the present, and you have a vision for the future. And this is something I am fascinated about, and I'd love to hear more about that and the conscious change that this opportunity creates all of us.
I was always thinking ERP, is the word good? And I came to the conclusion the word is overvalued. It's ERP should more maybe known as entity resource planning instead of enterprise resource planning. Because has never been, even today, have never been everything for the enterprise. It's not end-to-end enterprise. And even BPM was even not everything to the enterprise, it was still in silos. That means even today, we have still the silos, but the most complex silo is still the ERP silo. That's the reason it's not replaced. We have still SAP, we have still Oracle, we still HANA. And what we see, even ERP is going to the cloud, but it's not going now native to the cloud. It's going to the cloud, what's called the Conway law. It's moving to the cloud with the same functionality from the on-premise situation, maybe even less, because it's too complicated to build it today in microservices. Why is it too complicated? Not for technology, but the kids from Google do not understand ERP, and they have maybe the most interesting technology in the world today. It means you have to do it with all the people. Therefore, and I came to the conclusion ERP is obsolete last century, but I have to correct myself, it's still there. And I was able to respect ERP and bring ERP more and more in end-to-end business processes. And it means then we bring everything to a business, but the end is no longer the business. I bought a nice phone, it's a Google phone. Amazing to see this Apple phone. But now with Google, but what is the difference? With Google, you have 40 products, while some are used by billions of people. And more we see it's the front end. And the Google phone is good enough than the Apple phone, if you look to it. But what is now for the future? What means it? Enterprises are becoming obsolete. In this way, we have already seen with the browser of the internet. With the browser, when we see that the internet browser came therein, then the human became involved and social became involved. And the browser, even with Netscape those days, if you look at the browser was a window to the social world. Before we had only ASCII, and ERP was built to ASCII. Transactions, and you need a screen, and you need a complicated screen for the business in a silo. The browser came, and then in the last 25 years, we have a lot of innovation from, if you look to social from anywhere, mobile, mobility, IoT. Now we go even to chat, CTP, all the other elements. But it's not used in the business. ERP is still a transactional system. In BPM, we moved more to business-oriented stuff, where the human is coming involved. And you have two types of business processes. One is an ERP, a transactional process, but one is becoming more a human process. That was built those days with Lotus Notes and other elements and bring them together. Now we see that I invested after Bann a lot in the REST API. Sorry, in the SOAP API. And it was the beginning to do the API on social. But now we have the REST API. And the REST API is the core elements of the internet. And no one is using the benefit of the REST API. In the REST API, you have also the state machine, stateful object, stateless connection, all the stuff to make all those complex elements in a workflow and bring it further. Now, and what I see now in tomorrow's world, ERP should go to the human. ERP is now facilitating people for business in an enterprise, but not in the supply chain. Even today, supply chain does not exist because everyone on their own. In tomorrow's world, we'll see the core is the supply chain, where we move everything together. That means ERP as a task in a silo. We tried to bring it, but we could not do it in ERP. We tried to bring it to end-to-end in a business, but we see many silos. Then we call it business processes. But now we go a step further, and one of the disruptive innovators, Clayton Christensen, the famous Clayton Christensen, the late Clayton Christensen, a very noble man, he came to the conclusion it's only the job to be done. And that's different than a business process. And it's more different than a silo. But we need everything together. These three layers should be integrated. Now, what we see now is microservices are representing the job to be done in the task. And in this task, everything is now included for all my social elements, IoT, AI, all those elements. And it could be on the latest moment on the job to be done. Now, that's what we're doing now. On the same moment, I can adapt even some components of ERP is good enough. They have not to rebuild everything here. Over time, they can be rebuilt as microservices, but maybe takes another 10 years. Therefore, you should be, yeah.
In this is interesting, right? So Jan, you bring a big point, and especially in the modern ERP conversations, we forget something very important, the human and the job to be done. And the whole purpose of the ERP and the way it was created was to serve that human and satisfy the job to be done in a way that is adding to the bottom line. So
yeah, but what is the problem? ERP is not bringing so much money to the bottom line. I will come to it because let me give you an example. A mid-sized company, $100 million revenue, where you can say, well, they can do everything in ERP. A company with 100,000 employees, they cannot have one ERP system, even not today. But no. And then maybe, and this company with $100,000 revenue, maybe very innovative, $10 million EBITDA, net profit, means $90 million operating costs. The IT part is only 1 or 2% in that company. It's very little. And to change it is maybe 2K anywhere a little. Now, this $90 million operating costs are human related. Maybe 50% are human related. Now, suppose that we take 50% of this $100 million revenue as human related costs. Peter Drucker, years ago, 20, 30 years ago, mentioned already, if we have this type of technology, he was not even aware, the human can do a twice better job. That means we can have then, instead of 50 million operating costs, we can do it with 25 million operating costs. And 25 million can go to the EBITDA more, instead of only this 1% of ERP. That means in tomorrow's world, the productivity of the human will increase tremendous. And in ERP world, it's not increasing. Why it's too complicated. And ERP cannot communicate with a job to be done like a truck driver or anywhere. Now, what we see now in the social world, we take the complexity of ERP, we adopt this one, and then we make services, everything a service, where the knowledge worker can do it twice better. And ERP is stopping because ERP is consuming too much from the knowledge worker instead of facilitating. Now, and therefore, what we can say then, let's first decouple it. Always is important to decouple something. If you can decouple the engine from the chassis from the car and all those other elements. Now, let's decouple ERP for a while. And then even on top, we bring more silos together. And then we adopt them all in microservices. And there you do the last mile. And the microservice, you do the last mile. And they're all AI driven. They are driven with all this no longer PaaS, because platform as a service is also becoming obsolete. Because in platform as a service, everyone has to build their own middleware. ERP middleware stinks. In ERP is old-fashioned middleware, XML a little. Now, platform as a service is native internet middleware, but now we go to infrastructure as a service. We see the big giants, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. They have by far more an infrastructure, by far more stronger than Salesforce.
Yeah.
Or other ones.
Anyone. Yeah.
Now, why should you do then your Salesforce middleware if you can take Google's middleware? That means microservices should be adopted. I prefer Google the most, but could be, you can say, okay, you can take Microsoft, you take Amazon, but Google have tens of users, billions of users already united together in this stuff. Take the infrastructure as a service from a giant, do it agnostic, take care that you never should be locked in. That's also another, we are now all locked in ERP. And they squeeze us. They squeeze more, we cannot escape. Mistake in the technology on the future should never be locked in. Not locked in, should be agnostic for the big players that you can one take Amazon, can take Google, but we cannot compete our own. You should adopt this one now. That means you have to understand the architectural elements of IT. And I've been an old man, I'm 78, and my gray hair, but I've been 45 years already involved with all this technology, but my life was even longer. Now, I believe that, I hope that I have a little the wisdom to understand this stuff and deal with these dangerous components, because you cannot trust them. They all like to bound you in. That means all this, and instead of having now maybe 5 companies who have thousands of billions of market cap, it could be better to have thousands of unicorns. Now, I hope that in the future should be more managed by many smaller entities who can compete together, who are not locked in, and that is what the new technology can bring us.
And that's a point that you're bringing to the table, right? So why do we want to give up our rights, that is, our individual or collective rights to someone else who doesn't know our business really well? And this is a point for businesses to think about. How do we ensure our freedom, our integrity, and our way of moving forward? So it could be in the form of multiple relationships, one relationship, or whatever you choose to do.
But even Judith with AI. I like AI because I'm now using with Gemini and make my autobiography, optimize it as a tremendous improvement if you do it yourself, but you should be the owner. AI is extremely dangerous when the sensor is doing it. Yes, is it the sensor or common sense? Is it sensor or common sense? It should be common sense. AI, on the end, should only facilitate the job to be done. And AI should always be imparted by the human. That the human should understand the sensitivity of AI. Now, and that is what we do, and that's what we do in these microservices. And you can do it, the job to be done allows you to adopt and brings more intuitive to yourself. That means we moved from all the years when I built ERP, it was data. 100,000 database tables even today is data. It's no information, it's data. When I moved to Chorus, my second company, we moved to metadata and we brought information of the enterprise end to end. But we had nothing outside the enterprise. And then we moved later on with Kubernetes and all the stuff in IoT, we moved to knowledge. That means when data becomes information, becomes knowledge, but then we should bring the knowledge to wisdom, that's me. And even all these algorithms with all this knowledge should always be adopted by a human who understands the consequence of it. And it gives the humans in different ways much more flexibility. We all are different. Why should we be all the same? We never should be, we are all different. That's what God created the world. There's no tree with two loves the same. And he would like to do everything same standard. That's a dangerous element of technology.
And this is again, you're pointing out really beautiful, right? So don't work against the nature. We are all created to be different.
Yeah.
And we are all our own unique identity, and celebrate who we are. And do not give up this beautiful birthright or beautiful right to be controlled by something or someone else. So, and that's the nature of it. So, and have the freedom, and with all these things available, everyone has the freedom to decide how they want to transform themselves.
Why should we give up God? And I was in India again, and we know we have different way of thinking, but even you can communicate. I burned the lamp, we opened our new office, and in the lamp you have 5 elements therein. And I mentioned to everything, they asked me to do a prayer from the government. We have different elements, if it's Hindu, Muslims, and different elements. But I say, okay, if you allow me to do a prayer, let me do it in my way of thinking. But then we have one element who's connecting us, that's the ethics. We always believe in ethics. Now, if you give everything up, if you give God up, you become God yourself. And it's, in my opinion,
stand on.
It's dangerous. And what we see in this world, I'm afraid of this world, everyone like to be their own God. And it's tremendous. We are no longer humbling God.
Yeah.
We like to be God. And you see then, and then we like to live forever. We have the idea, so stupid, we like to have the idea that again, we can live another 2000 years because we can manipulate something. No, we are simple. H2O, with what we are in the end, is simple. We are simple humans. But God created us with brains. Let's use the brains, let's use the responsibility, and let's use to serve each other and to love each other.
And this is the words of wisdom, right? So we have the unique gift.
Yeah.
And let's use that gift to serve. And this is the overall butterfly effect that we all can create in the world by choosing to be conscious, choosing to transform, and choosing what is right with the conscious choice. And with that, the power is plentiful.
And Judith, the butterfly have to fly, cannot rest. That means they cannot celebrate. It's going forever. So long you're there, you have to fly. That means there's no time. In my time, I had maybe some high points, some deep points. I never enjoyed, I should say, it's hard to enjoy, to celebrate the high points. When I did a Boeing deal, I like a good glass of wine, but when I had a Boeing deal, I say, hey, let's not drink there so much because tomorrow I have to stay up earlier. I have to serve. On the highest point in my business, I could not celebrate. You have to serve. On the deepest point in my life, I learned lessons. Or maybe even more useful to do it. The most dangerous part is that we like to celebrate. And we like to celebrate our own or so. I mean, it's always good that you know that you have to fly it. You have to work. There's no end of your duty. So long you're here, you have to bring some things.
And that is great. So to the rest of the world who are embarking on a transformation, what would be your words of wisdom, especially to the leaders who would do it once in a lifetime?
Now, I should say to the leaders, take care. It's not you, it's the circumstances who make you. Be humble for yourself. Realize how simple you are. And we know as leaders we are so uncertain. This may be the reason we take more time. And we are hiding on our certainty, and we have so much authorization and all the stuff, which is extremely dangerous. If you are a leader, you should be a servant leader. And a servant leader means if making money is a pleasure, having money is a problem. If you are not too rich and you're old and you're dying or anywhere and your family is maybe simple, and you have a lot of money, you have a lot of headaches, how to arrange everything and what to do all this stuff. That means if you eat so much, it's not a blessing. Some in the Bible ask me, Lord, give me not too much money, but give me, even if you give me a little, give me my territorium, but even takes care, protect me. Making money is a pleasure, having money is a problem. And if you look to everything, and if we see money as our own and see value as our own, we are the most poorest person on earth. And link a little. If we have some things, how can we then collaborate and work with others and use our benefit and use our blessings and share it also with others?
And that is fantastic. So with that, we will conclude this episode with these words of wisdom. And remember, we are playing our part to make this world better. And Jan and I are available, so you can find us in LinkedIn and many other platforms. We look forward to hearing your feedback.
Judith, thanks for your initiative. It was great. Thank you very much. Okay.
Stop the recording. And I want to talk to you. Yeah.
Wait a moment.
Yeah.
I come back.